welcome back to another episode of Keep On Creating. I'm Mike, let's do this. Okay, so today is the episode on the item that I wasn't too sure on, but some of you said that you would like to see it, so I've finished it off and I've done a few tweaks to it to make sure that I'm mostly happy with it. So this is the episode on the little Halloween bottle of potion that we've gone and drawn, so I'm gonna hope you're gonna enjoy this. But first of all, I just want to say thank you to all the new subscribers and all the likes and all the comments that I had in the previous videos. You guys are awesome, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, even though it's earlier on in this video. It does help the channel, and make sure to watch the video all the way to the end, if not a few times, to get the grasp of things, because it does help the channel out. So thank you very much for that. So today what we're going to be working on is this potion bottle. It's probably going to be quite a long one, so buckle in there. Just slow it down if I'm going a little bit fast. Just redo some things and just get cracking, malacking with this Halloween potion bottle in Affinity Designer. Let's do this. Okay, let's kick things off by getting a new document thingamabobby going here. So up to Affinity Designer, across the file, drop down to new and create a new document. I've got 500 by 300 DPI, not that matters, as we all know, and you click on create. So we've got our white block over here, and I've got my rulers turned on, so that does help. And I've also got my snapping turned on. That's something else I have got turned on. So this time, instead of us just creating a square or a triangle or something like that, we can use one of the other tools in this tool palette on the side here. So I've got a square, a circle, a rounded square edge thing, rectangle tool, and I've got this third one here which you click and hold, you get all these little shapes over here. I'm going to select this polygon tool, which I've got selected there, which is this one over here. I click on that, and I'm going to click and drag and basically draw this polygon onto here. Now I'm not holding shift this time, because basically what shift does, it gives us those even proportions. So if you do want it to be perfectly polygoned and perfect shape, then just hold shift. I do not want this to be perfect shaped. I want to drag this up here, drag it down here, maybe make it a little bit wider, and something like that. So that's what I want there. And at this moment of time, it's still a polygon. So if you have a look at your layers palette over here, it says polygon. Now that's not a curve. We can't change any of these things here. So for instance, I want to bring this little node down over here. I want to bring that down because I want the bottle top to be more shapes at the top. I don't want it to be too pointy. You've got to decide what shape you want to have. I want that to be brought down. So to do that and start manipulating this object, what we need to do is convert it to curves. So Command Enter, and there we go, it's converted to curves. So click on A to get our node tool, and I'm going to click on this little node over here, make it blue, and hold shift and bring it all the way down. So you can see what I've done there. I've just made it not as tall and brought it all the way down to where I'd like it over there, which is cool. That's kind of the shape I'm looking at. Now we've got to start manipulating this object a bit more. So I'm just going to zoom in. So hold spacebar and command, click and drag, and in we go, nice and tight. So Illustrator has this cool thing where you can actually round the corners. So for instance, these corners over here, I need to round them off. And if we try and go in here and basically click here, add some nodes in. So if I click here, and convert this little node to like a curve, something like this one over here, you can see it like bulges out, which isn't so great. You can manipulate this in if you want to, but say I want a nice big curve, these things come a little bit awkward, should I say. So this Affinity Designer has a cool little curve tool, like an edge curve tool. So if I just undo what I've done there, basically just end up with one little node over there and one little node over here. Got this cool little tool over here, and it's this one here, this corner tool, C. If you click on that, click on your little node, so actually hover over, so you can see it gives us a little arc, so it selects it. Click and drag in. Now you can see all the little points that I've selected, it's basically giving us those rounded curves. So if I just really do it nice and big, I want a nice big round curve, you can see it gives us a cool curve over there. Do the same for the bottom section over here. Select those two nodes, so hold shift and select one and then select the other, and click and drag, and you can see it gives us a nice little radius. So we've got a nice little radius on the bottom of our bottle and a big radius on the top of the bottle there. Next thing we do is go over to our swatches, and I'm just going to separate my swatches. I don't know why they've gone up there. How can I put them at the bottom? And yeah, so there we go. It's easier for me to do because then it's separate. I am going to make sure that I've got a black stroke on this. So just click on black and go back to my stroke palette up here and make that really nice and thick. So somewhere like around there. So really nice and thick. Okay, cool. Now what I'd like to do is just get this a little bit centered, so somewhere around there. So you can see that's my 250 mark over here. I'm just going to get my ruler from the side, so I'm just click and drag, get an alignment guide, and just snap one right there. Okay, so now that we've got a guide going through the center of our graphic, and if you can't see your rulers, all you got to do is go up to view and make sure your show rulers is on, and I've got my snapping bits turned on, so when I do drag a ruler, it snaps to that center of that object. So you see how it turns green? It basically snaps to the center of my graphic there, which is what I'm looking for. Let's start concentrating on the neck of the bottle. So the part that basically is the neck of the bottle going up from the main part of the bottle. Let's concentrate on that bit. So what we need to do is we've got our center line over here. I am going to get my rectangle tool, which is this tool over here. I'm going to click on that and find the center of my item. So you can see how it nicely just snaps to the center over there. I'm going to click and drag, but when I drag, I'm going to hold down the command key and it drags from the center. I'm going to take it to somewhere around about there. Just hit V to get a move tool, and we're going to move it somewhere just to get an idea of where it's going to go. So something like that. That's good. So somewhere like that. Okay, now I do want this to curve at the bottom over here. So I'm not going to use that curve tool that we just used to make a curve, because otherwise it'll make it too rounded. What I want to do is, first of all, I'm going to convert our rectangle to a curve again. So similar to how we did our polygon tool, I'm just going to go Command Enter and it'll change it to that curve. I'm actually going to label this curve one over here bottle. And I'm just going to go neck base for that one. So we just know what we're actually doing here. I'm going to get the circle tool, so that's the ellipse tool, and go to the center and click and drag holding Alt, and I'm probably wanting my bottleneck to go sort of that curve over there. So I'm just going to drag this in, snap it to the bottom. That looks good. Yeah, I think that's how I want it. Basically joining the bottom, something like that. Now I'm going to hit P to get my pen tool, and I'm simply going to click, and it's going to click in here. I'm making sure that whatever the shape I'm drawing around here, around this area, so the outside of the square, is basically going to cover this whole area, but stay within our little circle over here. So you can see how I've drawn it. That circle there, those parts are inside that little oval circle shape we've done there. And now I'm going to hit this add button. So I've got the shape overlapping this other shape. So I've got those two shapes like that selected, and I am going to hit this, I think it's intersect button, and I should just be left with that shape. Now that we've got the shape of the bottom of the neck, basically I want to connect that bottom of the neck to the top of the bottle. So bear with me here. So we're going to click on this. I'm going to drag this down so it kind of like meets just where this line is here. So I'm going to zoom right in. You can see that little point over there. I'm just going to drag it so it just meets there. Okay. I'm just going to zoom out a bit. Whoops. Command O to really zoom out really quickly. Now, a quick little tip that I've been given by David Williams, so thanks very much for that. What I've been doing in the past is I've been selecting this object, going Command C and Command V, or clicking and dragging it to this add layer over here. You can simply just click on this and go Command J, and it basically gives you another layer, so neck base, so you can say neck base 2. So it duplicates your layer instead of me having to copy it and pasting it. So it's just one simple command, and I like the quick key. So if you got a quick key, let me know and I'll share it. So thanks for this one, David. That worked out really cool, and it speeds up everything we do. So if I select one of our neck bases over here and our actual bottle object and click on this minus over here, so subtract, click on that, you can see what it does. It minuses off that section. So that's what I'm looking for there. But what I want to do is I want to click this and I want a sharp edge over here. So if I go back to my stroke and I click on a sharp edge, which is this one over here, so this mitre join, click on that, you can see I get a much better, sharper edge there. Okay, now what I need to do is simply scale this down. So I'm going to hold down the Option key and Shift, scale down, okay, somewhere in here, click and drag, and I'm going to put it just so it tucks up underneath that. So just to that line over there, and just to that line right there on the edge over there. Of course, if you wanted that to be absolutely 100% perfect, you could either add in your line, you could either add in lines over here, so you could just click and drag and snap a line over there and snap a line over here, and then click and drag your object to that line. So you just hold Shift while dragging it, see how it snaps. So likewise this side, click and drag when it snaps. It's always good practice to do something like that, so maybe I should have done that since the beginning, but anyway. Okay. So you can see we've got a little bottleneck starting to develop over here, and we've got the base of our bottle. Now, I'm going to take these lines off because otherwise we're going to get so many different lines going here. So I'm just going to drag them right off the artboard. And let's carry on with the neck of our bottle. So just scroll up to the neck. I'm going to make this a little bit shorter. So I'm going to hit A. Okay, select those two little nodes over there and just hold shift and click and drag them down a little bit. Yeah, like that. Then I'm going to get my rectangle tool, which is this tool over here. Click that and go from the center again. Remember that center command. Hold down Alt while dragging. And I'm going to make something like around about there. Now it's equal both sides because I hold down that Option key. And I'm going to hold down Alt, click and drag, okay, to drag another copy up, bring it down to snap, and I'm going to make this one a little bit shorter. And I'm going to do that again, just make sure it's nice and centered. Hold down Alt and Shift, click and drag, and probably make this one, should we make this one even smaller? So hold down the Option key while dragging this in, okay. Somewhere around about there-ish. Put that in there. So we're building our bottle neck. Now let's just draw a little tab at the top over here. So let's get a triangle tool going. So get your triangle tool. So go from the center, hold down Alt, somewhere around like there-ish, I suppose. Something like that. Okay, I'm going to rotate this around. So I'm going to hit V. Okay, go to the corner, get that funny little arrow there pointing in all directions. Click and drag, hold down Shift, and it's a complete 180. Now I want this to basically tuck underneath all of this. So I'm just going to basically drag it somewhere like there. Something like that. Okay. Let's just go back to our layers palette, and you can see I've got rectangle, rectangle, rectangle. So these all need to be converted to curves. So select all of those items, Command Enter, and everything is now a curve. Okay. Now I want these to be rounded on the top bits over here. So hit A to get your node tool, select that node on that side and that node on that side, so your two top nodes, and let's use that awesome rounding curving tool. So get your curving tool, which is this tool over here, corner tool, click on that little dot over there and just round that all the way in somewhere around there. So it's a nice little tab, and I may bring this down a little bit more, somewhere like there. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm liking that. I'm liking it a lot. Okay, now I'd like to probably be a little bit shorter in actual fact. So I'm gonna hit A, select those two little nodes, bring them down somewhere like there, I think. And let's just select all of those bits with the move tool and click and drag and just make it snap. So it's just a little bit shorter for my bottle anyway. Your bottle can be whatever you want it to be. Okay, so let's just add a little bit of color into this so we can kind of get to see what we're doing. So go to the swatches where it says grays, click on colors and bring up a lot of colors. So let's make this bottle over here. I'm just gonna click this green, click the green fill. Okay, so green fill there. Let's make the darker green fill. I'm just going to go dark light for now so we can just see the difference. We'll probably come and change a lot of these later. This little curve that we created over here, we need to send that all the way back to even behind the neck base. So that's going to go all the way to the base. Okay, so I'm just going to carry on here, light and dark. So kind of see what we've created there. Okay, so we've got the basis of our bottle going over here with our big pull tab at the top. Let's just make sure we know what's going on with all these curves that we're going here. So we can label this one here. This is neck. I'm just going to go neck 1. This is neck 2. Just so we know what parts we're working with here. So that's neck 3. That's the bottle, neck base. I can probably bring that up to there, and the curve, I do want that to go under the bottle. So we're just keeping tabs on all these little shapes that we are creating along the way, so we just understand all the little elements that we're working with here. Okay, start adding in some shading. So let's go to our bottle. Now the first thing I do want to do here, as the actual fact is, I want to expand the stroke. So I'm going to go up to layers, drop down to expand stroke, which is this guy over here, and you'll see this has got that center line over there. Click expand stroke, and it's now got two lines, so one on this side, one on that side. That is now no longer a stroke, it is just basically a fill. So the fill is now changed to black over there. Now what I'd like to do is create some shadows in this. Let's do the curve over here that kind of goes from here around and down. So get P to get your pen tool up, which is this tool over here. So that's your pen tool. I'm just going to go right to this corner over here so you can see how it nicely snaps over there. I'm going to click somewhere around here, and I'm going to taper it off right to the edge down there, and I'm just going to completely draw around there and back to my starting point. So it's a nice finished graphic shape. Let's just make a duplicate of this bottle shape over here. So let's just duplicate that quick. Command J, thank you, David. So go over there and select both our new shape and our bottle shape and click on this intersect button over here. So all we're left with is this basic shape over here. I'm going to make that white so we can actually see it. Okay, and then again, use that awesome corner tool, hit A, select that little bit over there, make sure you got your corners tool selected, and I'm going to click and drag. You can click and drag and make it like rounded, so somewhere around there. Okay, so you can see it's kind of like nicely rounded, and obviously we want this to sit underneath our, I'm going to say this bottle outline over here. Ooh, we've got the T outline over there. Okay, and so I'm going to click that, I'm going to drag it and put it underneath the bottle outline, so just round about there. Okay, so you can see it nicely tucks under our bottle outline there. Now obviously we want that duplicated onto this side, so all we can do is Command J, click and drag, hold Shift. I'm going to flip it over with the flip tool over here, so flip horizontal, and I'm going to put it right there so it snaps in. So there's our two shades going on over there. And I would like a bottle sort of to show that it's a nice bottle base over here. So let's get our ellipse tool. That's one over here. Go to the center of our line, somewhere around there. Click and drag, hold Command. Okay, I'm going to take that stroke off, a bit irritating. And I'm going to put it somewhere around about here-ish. Okay. Now I'm going to duplicate this bottle over here, the main bottle again. So Command J. Okay. And where is our ellipse tool? So select this two objects that we got here, hit that intersect button again, and all we left is this little curve over here. I'm going to make sure it hasn't got a stroke and make sure the fill is in white. Okay, and again, let's drag that underneath the bottle curve. Okay, the bottle outline, sorry, so it fills within there. So we've got our little bits of shading kind of going on over here. This, obviously we're going to have to change, one side's going to be light, one side's going to be dark, and then this bottom bit over here, I'm actually going to make this transparent. So I'm going to go up to the fill. Okay, so you see that over here, up here, click on that, and the opacity, you see this opacity over here? I'm just going to drag that down, and you can see how it keeps that color of whatever your base color is. So say you've got a red bottle, a purple bottle, a yellow bottle, that color is going to come through over there. So I'm just going to drag that down to somewhere around about here, halfway-ish, okay, and release that there. I think with these ones here, I'm just going to leave them at the moment like that. We can come back and we can sort those out. But I am going to select all three of those. So the bottle base highlight. Okay. And that's a bottle highlight right. And this is going to be bottle highlight left. Bottle highlight left. Not that I'll probably remember any of those, but I'm going to select all of them and just group them for now. So Command G. So they're just all nice and neat by themselves over there. Just so when I select them, I can click and drag and do whatever, and I can still go open that up and select them individually when I need to. Okay, so let's make some highlights going on this neck of the bottle over here. Hit M to get our rectangle tool. So we get this rectangle tool over here. I'm going to click and I'm going to drag. Oh, it's kept the opacity, which is great because I was going to turn that back on. And I'm going to hold down Alt and Shift and click and drag another one out. Now I'm going to put them to this side of the bottle neck. I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller, and you could even add in another one if you wanted and make that even smaller. Just give it that rounding look to your bottle neck. Okay, so something like that. We can obviously select all of these and click and drag them just above the bottleneck over here. Group them, and I'm just going to say neck highlights. Okay, and I'm going to actually just drag them in that neck, so just in that neck over there, so they just go within that neck, so I don't have to worry about dragging all the different layers and all that type of thing. So it's within that neck there. Now that we've got that sorted, I'm just going to zoom in here, and I want to make this half and half a color. So I'm just going to go Command J to get a duplicate of that, and let's just make it this green color over here. I'm actually going to go with a brighter green, and I'm going to make it brighter on this side. Okay, so all I'm doing is clicking, dragging, and snapping it to the middle over there. And I want half of this shade to be also the same. So I'm going to go over here, select my rectangle tool, just draw a big square over that object that we've got there. I'm going to select the top of the little pulley tab bit of the bottle, and I'm going to go Command J to that. Select both of those items. So I've got my rectangle and that little pull tab, and I'm going to click the intersect button. So all we're left with is that little piece there, and let's make that also that brighter green. So you can see we've got that nice color contrast going there. So okay, back to the bottle part of here. Okay, so I'm just moving around, holding the space bar, and you can just drag anywhere. So I'm just going to look at this for a second and decide what we're going to put in here. So let's do some little floaty bits going in here. So what we need to do is I am going to select this ellipse tool. We're going to do some little skulls floating in here and some little bubbles. First of all, I mean, the bubbles are easy to draw. All we're going to do is just hold shift, click and drag, and we make a circle. And that is literally a bubble. So we can just make that white. We can also make it a little bit transparent again. So click and drag in here, go to the fill, knock down that opacity. So just something like that. And we could just drag a few of these around to this shape. So while it's at that size, just hold down the Alt key, click and just drag them mathematically placed everywhere where you want them to be. Okay, knowing that there is going to be a big label over this section over here. Let's drag another one over here. Okay, change the size of it. So Alt click drag and just hold shift and click and drag and make another small little version, and just click and drag those ones, putting them all over the place. Okay, just click and drag. Okay, just do a few of those everywhere. Okay, see what I'm doing. I'm just going absolutely mental with them. Okay, so a few of those blopping up everywhere. Okay, now that that's sorted, let's make our little skeleton head. So we're going to head over here to the ellipse tool, grab that one, and let's start off by drawing a circle over here. So a nice proper circle holding shift, and let's make that black so we can actually see what we are doing. And I'm just going to zoom in a bit here. Okay, so I've got one side of it. I'm going to hold down Alt and Shift, click and drag. Okay, make a duplicate of that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click and drag holding Alt, and I'm going to try to place this more or less in the center of those two. Hold down Command and Shift and click and drag and make a nice big chrome dome. So that's basically going to be like the top section. So I'm going to plop it somewhere around about there-ish, I suppose. And what we can do is, so we get an idea of the shape, I'm going to hit M to make this jawline. So hit M, select your rectangle, and make sort of like a jawline somewhere around about there-ish. So you can see kind of that's like the basic outline of it. So with these two selected over here, this one over here, this one over here, just for ease of use, I'm going to drag them to the top. And I'm going to select them both, go Command J to duplicate that. And I'm going to make them white. Okay, that's not exactly white at the moment, but it's a color we can see. I'm going to click and drag holding Alt and Shift and drag that into about somewhere like there. I think that's cool. Do the same for this side, click and drag holding Alt, and it should snap. So you see the little red line? It's basically telling me they are the same size, and that's what I'm looking for there. Just going to drag them right to the top. So those are going to be our eyes. Then down here we just need to get some teeth going. So get your rectangle tool again and just click and drag and make sort of some teeth shape over there-ish. So click that there, I'm gonna hold down Alt and Shift, click and drag somewhere around there, and then just go Command J. I don't think I'm gonna fit another one in. So just hit those 4 over there, which is fine. Just gonna drag them all into the center. Maybe bring this up a little bit. Let's just zoom out. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so I'm gonna select all my little white bits, all these gray bits like there. I'm gonna add them all together. So click that little add tool, and then I'm gonna select all my black bits and add them all together. Now the gray bits are sitting on top of the black bits, so that's great. Select both of those, and I'm going to hit the subtract. And there we go, we've got this one color object over here. So this here is basically going to be, I'm going to call this our master skull. Okay. And then I am going to make a duplicate of that. So I'm just going to Alt drag it this time over here. And because we're going to be put it in this jar, I want to make it, give it a little bit of reflection going in here. So I want to basically split this skull in half. So I'm going to get my pen tool, so hit P, and I'm just going to draw a line straight across like that and then close that shape off. Let's just make that red so that we can actually see it. I'm going to duplicate both of these shapes, so have them both selected. and then go Command J. Okay, now select one of your reds and one of your black skulls and click on minus. Okay, so we just left with this black bit of the skull. Then I'm going to select the other half of the skulls, the full skull and the red bit, and I'm going to click this intersect button. So one half is the top section and one half is the bottom section. So this part here I'm going to make, wow, let's just drag this onto our little bottle over here. I'm going to just scale that down for now, and I'm going to make one bit of it. I suppose we could keep it black, but I think I'm going to make it this green color, and then this bit over here I'm actually going to make that white. Okay, now I'm going to take this fill and I'm going to scale it all the way down. Okay, so something like that. Likewise for this full color over here, I'm going to change that opacity and drag that all the way down. Something like there. Okay, cool. Select both of those shapes. I'm going to group them. So just go Command G. Okay, and now that's a group, so I can select them and drag them everywhere I want. And we need to make a few duplicates of this. So just click, I'm going to make a few big ones. Okay, and just rotate them. So something like that. You can put them under here. And you can see it's cool because we've got that opacity set over here, so it's kind of like bleeding all the way through those. Although I'm going to put all these bubbles underneath that transparency, you can see how cool that looks. It keeps that little transparency image bottle effect going there. So glass effect, transparency effect going there. Let's just make a few duplicates of the big ones. So I'm going to make one over here. I'm going to put one over here and maybe one like up here. And just make sure to rotate them in like different directions so they don't all look 100% the same. We could even go and change like the highlights and the lowlights in these if you wanted to. Let's just make a duplicate of that, put one over here. I'm going to change the size of it. So I'm going to make them a little bit smaller. Okay, so they still can be noticeable. And drag a copy over here, or maybe one over here. Just rotated them, and I suppose that's okay. Different direction. Put one over here, make that one there. Just alt dragging these, same as we did for the bubbles. Make a few copies of them. Maybe even put one like completely upside down. You know, they can go in any direction. Select that one, alt. Maybe make this one even smaller. Put another one down here. Okay. And then probably another one right the way down here-ish and make it going that way. So I've got these few little bubbles going up. Bearing in mind that, I mean, we can maybe bring that in a little bit. We're going to make a little label that's going to go over this section here. So with all those little skulls there, I'm going to select all of those little groups, not the master skull. And I'm just going to group them all together. So Command G, and I'm going to say skull bubbles. Okay, so we've got the skull bubbles going over there, and we've got the other bubbles going over here. So what we can do is if I click and drag that, where's our highlights? There's a highlight over here. So I can drag those all the way below this group over here. And that's when I want it to sit underneath this highlight section that we're going over here. So say we did have any skulls kind of peeking underneath our little highlight bits over there. So say I'm just going to duplicate this one and put one under here, and I'm just going to change the size of that. Now if we go into this group here, and we go into our right highlight, and say I made this our black color, change the opacity down, you can see the skull just still little peeps through right there. And so we select our highlight on this side and also just knock that down a little bit. So we've got that. There we go. So we've got a highlight, a low light, and anything kind of going underneath those, then we can still, where's that skull I just selected? There. So anything that's going underneath that little highlight will still be seen from underneath it, which I think is pretty cool, pretty cool. And now let's move on to our label. So we could probably use one of these polygon tools again. So if I click on the polygon tool, and I think we're going to need, let's do 6 sides for this. So over here it says side, I'm going to change that to 6. Okay, and I'm going to go to the center of our line over here, click and drag and hold down the command somewhere around there. Okay, I'm going to have to rotate this. So I'm going to just rotate it that nice 90 degrees. So I basically want a flat piece here. The out piece is there. I may squish that down a little bit more, something like that. Maybe even bring it in. So just hold your command somewhere around there and squish it some more. So somewhere around there. With the polygon selected up here, I'm going to make it, let's just make it this color over here so we can actually see it again. And I'm going to convert it to curves. So command enter, it's now no longer a curve. I'm just going to label this label, okay? I'm going to select these two little nodes over here. So hit A to get our node tool up. Click that and click that bottom one of those two nodal nodes over here and here. And hold shift, click and drag down. So somewhere around about there. I think I may want them to actually come out a little bit more, to run a little bit more parallel to the side of that jar. Okay, the edge of the jar. So something like that. Yeah, so something like there. Okay, in fact, that is snapping to the top edge right over there. So snapping to the top edge here and snapping to the top edge there. So that's probably a good line. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so there's the outline of our label that we're going to have on our jar. We're going to have to duplicate this. So I am going to go Command J to duplicate that. I want a line within this line. So to do that, I am going to go to my stroke layer and go to my stroke over here and add this, make it black, and I'm going to align it to the inside. So you can see this button over here. Click on that and it aligns to the inside. I'm just going to very slightly take that out. Okay, make sure this doesn't have a fill on it. Then what I'm going to do is create another layer of this. So I'm going to duplicate this layer again. So Command J again. I'm going to keep this top layer as our color that we selected. So that stroke is the same color. You can see our black is just peeking out underneath there. So let's just go back in here and make that a little bit thicker. So you can see we've got that line just peeking out underneath, and that's kind of what I'm looking for there. So we've got that little label kind of coming through there, which is cool. And let's get some text in here. So I am going to hit T to get our text tool up, our artistic text tool, and let's make up some stuff. So it's green, so we could use some like Frankenstein blood. I'm just going to make our text a little bit smaller. So Frankenstein, I hope I spelled that right. Frankenstein blood, because it's green. It's like a pure extraction, so pure. It's gonna move that down a little bit. Pure, spell extraction, pure extraction, Frankenstein blood. We need the word danger on here somewhere. Danger. We need the bottle size, so I don't know what ounces are. Let's just do a 4 ounce, something like that, something nice and small. And obviously, so what else could we do? Here we go. So we could do Frankenstein blood, and we do cold pressed. That would suit it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. So font wise, if we just position these more or less where we want them, so then we can choose some fonts. Pure extraction. We want this, that, Frankenstein blood. I'm thinking that Frankenstein blood may have to go over 2 lines. So danger, we make it a label for, and then an ounce down here. So the ounce, we need like some kind of a swirly font. I think we'll probably match it with the extraction font. Just work this on the fly. Which one? That on there? No, we'll do this one over here. Right, so I need that lowercase. I'm just going to quickly type that again. Lowercase, pure extraction. Make that a bit bigger. Just click and drag. So pure in the extraction. This ounce, I need that bit bigger. So Alt drag that a little bit up. Then these 3 over here, I'm going to select all of those, and we'll make this like an oldie type of font. So there's this cool font, I think Western. Okay, I can either do that as rough or regular. I'm going to use the rough one. Click and drag. Just make that nice and big. And there's our pure extraction, Frankenstein blood, cold pressed. That's it. And then danger, we need to make a little label for the danger one. Okay. So what I'd like to do is, actually, I'm going to actually change this to the solid one. I think everything around it is solid, so I'm not going to use the rough version. I am going to use the solid version, Berg, Western, and I'm going to make it the regular version, just because everything else here is quite solid, so I'm going to do that. Okay, let's just take this blood and put it onto the next line down, center it, something like that. And obviously this is the big part of it. So just make that nice and big. So pure extraction, Frankenstein blood, cold pressed. Okay, just get a little, just going to get my rectangle tool and just draw a line in between these two. Okay, just to start breaking things up a little bit, make it black. Okay, just make it black. Probably make it a little bit thicker as well, more to match this outer line. So something there. And I would like to actually do the same. So I'm just holding Alt, click and drag. I'm going to do the same for this part over here. I'm just going to drag that there, drag that there. I am actually going to round these corners a little bit. So Command Enter to take that shape. Okay, click those two little nodes over there. Get our corner radius tool thing and click and drag just so it just softens that edge on that side. Click and drag this side, just flip it over. Okay, something like that. I think that's good. Likewise for this one over here, Command Enter, make sure it's a curve, select all those little nodes everywhere on them. Oops. So make sure you select all those little blue, make sure all the little nodes are blue. Click your corner radius tool, which is selected over there, and click and drag and just make sure, make them nice and round. Okay, probably could have done that with a pen tool and just made it a rounded edge, but anyway, that's good. Okay, so now with this little danger sign over here, I'm going to make this one here. It's just because we want to get a little skull in here. So I'm going to pure extraction, knock that right up together. Frankenstein blood, give it a little bit of space around it. Okay, cold press we can probably make a little bit smaller. And then this danger one, I'm going to have to make this a little bit smaller, bring this down, because we want to get our little skull in here somewhere. So I'm just going to bring that down. Okay, so somewhere over there. Let's make this, I'm just going to make this pink for now. And let's just get our rectangle tool up again. Just drag a big marquee around it. Put this underneath danger. Okay, make sure it's centered. Let's make it more label-like. Just get your circle tool, your ellipse tool. Going to go somewhere around this edge over here. So just snap to the edge, click and drag holding Shift and Alt. That's good, somewhere around there. Alt and drag to the other side, should snap somewhere. So you can just snap it to the edge of that. Select both of those graphics, add them together. So you've got your two circles selected and your curves. You're going to have to make sure these curves are on top. So in actual fact, click and drag and make sure they're all the way to the top of whatever your element is. You can go Command Shift, close square bracket to make sure they're at the top, and then select your rectangle, click on minus. There's our little label. And now that has to be underneath a danger. So danger now we can change back to the color we were using, which I think was this one here. Yeah, that's it. And then we can get our little skull. Okay, and we've got to make some little crossbones for this guy. So let's make him a little bit smaller. So Shift and select, make him smaller there. And let's just get a rectangle, make this really easy. Okay, just make something like that. I think that should be maybe a little bit chunkier. Just going to get our ellipse tool again and just draw some circles on the end. So one here, Alt drag, make another little different size there and just drag them around, something like that. Okay, so we do want a little bit of variance in size. Alt drag this one, make it over here, just try center them a little bit. Okay, just group everything there for a second. Just going to rotate it like a 45 degrees, something like that. Just drag it up. I'm going to duplicate this whole group, so Command J. Then I'm going to flip it over. Okay, that skull probably needs to go a little bit bigger in relation to those, so something like that. That's cool. Select everything there. I'm going to group it all together. Then I'm going to scale it all the way down and just drag it onto our graphic here. I'm going to have to bring it to the top. So Command Shift close square bracket. Just bring this danger down a little bit. Bring that up. Scale it down a little bit from the center. And there we've got a little label there, so danger 4 ounce. And that's starting to look pretty damn good. So that's basically the bottle of it and everything. If you want to create like a little bit of a scene around it, I'm going to select all our little skulls and our bubbles. So skull bubbles and our bubble bubbles. I'm going to select all of those. Okay, so I'm just selecting those two groups over there. I'm going to go Command J. I'm going to bring those two sets together. So those two sets there together. Okay, and I am going to now move those two sets all the way right underneath the bottom of my bottle. I'm going to hold down Alt, click and drag. Just drag them somewhere like there, so they're kind of like going behind everything, something like that. Okay. Now, because if I select everything there and I'm just going to bring it down a little bit, then with everything selected, so bubbles and skulls, I'm just going to make this all black at this point, and then we can just group it. I don't know if we can make a whole group. me change it out. So we're just going to make that a little bit, just knock down that opacity on it, and let's just add a little bit more to this. So I'm going to make some of those funky little potiony stars going around. So click on your polygon tool. I'm going to select the star tool, select that, and you can see my points are 16. We could take them up. I'm going to take them up to like 24, and then click and drag. Now I'm going to take the inner radius of this. So you can see here it says inner radius. Click on that, and I'm going to take that all the way down so you can really see I'm making a massive like star pattern over there. With that star pattern selected, let's just select a green color like that. Okay, green color, not that beigey color. I'm going to select this. I'm going to go Command J, zoom in here so I can show you what I'm doing. I'm just going to rotate this so it kind of like goes in between those there. So you can see I've made a duplicate of it, and I'm going to make this a darker color. So you can see I've got this like sparkly shape going over here. Just drag over there, Command G to group it, make them much smaller. And then we can just spread these out here and there. Okay, you can make some bigger, some smaller if you want. And obviously you can position them wherever you like them to be. So something like that, and there we go. Now obviously we wanted to make it a little bit more vintage. We could put that little bit of a distress look over. So I brought up my distress file here, which I'll link in the description below. So if we just open that up, click on that, and just go Command C, so close that window. And I'm just going to go Command V, make sure it's all the way to the top, and let's just position this. Now you don't have to keep it in proportion if you don't want. You can manipulate it any which way you want, so you don't have to hold shift is what I'm trying to say. It's going to bring it over my design, so simply over it like that. Okay, let's make it white. Okay, make sure it's come over that. See, it's a little bit harsh at the moment, so with it still selected, we can use that opacity tool. So just select your distressed look, so this distressed layer. Okay, and I'm going to go to my opacity over here, my fill, and I'm just going to knock it down a little bit so you can see how it's still like distressed and it looks old and funky, but that looks cool. Turn off the ruler, and there we go. There's our Halloween Frankenstein blood cold pressed potion that we've got going here. Happy Halloween. And there we go, the Halloween bottle is done. Let me know what you guys think below. I want to see what you guys create, what shapes you come up with, what little, I don't know, what text you come up with, vampires, blood, whatever. It'll be really cool to see what you guys create. So make sure to hit me with a DM. If you put it on your Instagram or anything else, make sure to hashtag to keep on creating in there. I'd love to see what you guys are actually doing. We should do a little bit of a competition or something. Even if you head over to the Facebook group, let's see what you guys create. And until next time, keep on creating. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button if you haven't already, and I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out of here.